Welcome to the Financial Coaches Podcast, where we talk about how to build your practice from startup to scale up while being the kind of coach your clients crave. Finally, a podcast for financial coaches. Here are your hosts, Maria Casillas and Cody Sizemore.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Financial Coaches Podcast. We are so happy to have you back listening to us today, and we're ready to have kind of an interesting discussion about websites. Before we jump into that though, I would just like to encourage you, if you have not yet already, please subscribe to our podcast. Also, leave a review. A 5-star review for us would be absolutely incredible. It's just going to help other amazing coaches like yourself find this podcast and get all of the yummy stuff that we have for them. Also, if you have not yet joined our group, please do that. We are doing some really, really great stuff over in the Facebook group. It is the New Money Habits Financial Coaches Facebook group. And we have even started doing like a working Wednesday where you can just show up and do a free power hour with us where you're just working in the background and there's support there and accountability to help you stay focused. So many great things going on. Let's get started with our conversation today. I am, as always, joined by my amazing co-host, Cody Sizemore. Cody, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you. It's a little bit rainy here in Arizona, but I'm thinking it's actually a good thing. So, loving it.
And that's crazy because it's also rainy in Ohio as well.
What
so
are
it's
the
a rainy
chances?
day all over the country.
Love that. Love it. All right. So, in one of our Working Wednesdays that I just referenced, there was an individual who was working on a website and there was a very, very specific reason that he wanted to work on this website. It was because he was doing a seminar at a local shop and wanted to have somewhere for people to go and be able to find him. And it would legitimize his business and all of those things. So at the beginning of our session, we're like, that's awesome. We knew that's what he was going to be working on. At the end of our power hour, though, he said, hey, you guys, I'm kind of spinning my wheels with this website thing, and I'm just wondering if you could help me with that. And so there was going to be some help on the other end of that. But before someone started helping him, I wanted to make sure he knew that there may or may not be a need for a website. So, Cody, I wanted to just talk with you about that today because I think that's a question that so many of our listeners have. And I know I had it in the beginning. And so I just wanted to kind of bounce some ideas off of you and see what you think.
Yeah. Shoot away. Let's hear them.
Awesome. Well, let me ask you a question first. Do you believe that you need a website in order to get started in a coaching business?
No.
Well, it's a very fast answer and a very short one. All right. So no, you don't believe you need one.
I'll elaborate. So my answer was very quick and very short because, quite frankly, I don't have a website.
All right.
And I have never had a website. And I've been coaching for about 2.5 years now. So I've been doing just fine without it. And, I see the attraction to wanting to have a website because, it does give it gives people a place to go. It does, kind of validate you a little bit. But at the end of the day, you don't necessarily need one. And there's ways to work around it where you don't have a website, but it's almost like the impression of having a website, using landing pages. And that's something that I do have is landing pages. And, there's processes to do that through like a CRM that you would probably already have regardless if you have a website or not, that are no extra cost. Whereas, having a website domain name is an extra cost. And then you have to either build it or pay someone to build it and manage it. And that's an extra cost. So I just saw that when I was in my earlier days of coaching, and I was like, I'm just going to run without it and see how it goes. Right. And I've had no issues growing my practice. None at all.
All right. Well, thank you for the elaboration. I do appreciate the elaboration on that. And I don't disagree with most of what you just said. Actually, that was one of the reasons, or that was one of the questions I had was, what do you think is one of the reasons people think they need to have that website? So let's unpack, because you just threw like a whole bunch of stuff out there. And so I'd like to unpack it a little bit if we may. Mm-hmm. When you say that it legitimizes a business, what other reasons are there that are on the pro side for, yes, we should or could or want to have a website for a business?
Yeah, so I mean, the legitimizing side of it is definitely one. Okay. But if you were to offer like this guy in particular, a special event, you could like link something up to there. You could put like a contact form. If you're selling like a product, like an ebook or like a budget worksheet or whatever it might be, you can run sales through there. Okay. You can set up affiliate links through there. You can do quite a bit, but at the same time, you can also do all of that with a landing page too.
Okay, so you keep jumping to landing page, which I totally appreciate. It was going to be a solution that we brought up at the end, but since it's there, one of the things I want our listeners to start thinking about, because it's, for me, I love helping people not just learn what to do, but learn how to think through what to do, how to make those decisions. And because, we're sitting here giving them some answers, but we might not always be there. We've been here for a solid year, but I don't know how long we'll always be here. So we want to make sure that people who are listening and they're hearing some of this stuff out there going, well, you need to have this and you need to do this and you got to do this. It becomes very overwhelming. And I just want to help them figure out, how do we decide? How do we discern what it is that we actually need to do? And so when we have somebody who says, well, you need this so that you can have this happen. So in this instance, you need a website so that it legitimizes and does all those other things that Cody just mentioned, has a place for, your freebies, has somewhere for people to sign up for emails, that kind of thing. Then the next question is there an alternative way to still get those results? Mm-hmm. And you have said, yes, in this case, a landing page is an alternative, and it will give you all of those things that people just asked for. And I do want you to share a little bit about landing pages and how they work and all of that. But before you do that, I would like to share that I fell into the trap of needing a web page or we just said landing page, but a website before I did some other stuff. And so I went ahead and did the buying of a domain and setting up a web page and all of that stuff when I probably didn't need to do all of that. I have not used or updated my website probably in 4.5 years. No joking. I have, however, used landing pages for that. I will say, though, there is one piece of it that I really am glad that I did, and I don't regret it at all. And I would highly encourage our listeners to at least consider this part, and maybe even you, Cody, since you mentioned you don't do this yet. Purchasing a domain was a really big deal. And the reason for that is because first of all, the longer you wait, the less likely it is that your domain will be available. So that's one thing. Secondly, they're pretty inexpensive. I mean, it's like $12 a year or something like that for a good one that is new. So that's another
like $1
thing.
a month.
I know, right? I know, but
crazy.
You could totally do it. You could do it. You could squeeze that into your budget. I am sure of it. But that helps give that legitimization and how did you say it? The illusion of being legitimate. I don't remember how you said it, but it gives that impression. Maybe impression is the word you used. It gives that impression without having to have a full-on website built on WordPress, for example. So if there is a way to marry the two, where you actually have a domain, so then you can have, not only do you have the domain, but then you have Cody at sizemorecoaching.com.
Right.
That kind of thing makes it it feels more real, and it's less likely to go to spam and, those kinds of things. So It looks more like a business, if you will, versus, XYZ financial coaching at gmail.com. You hear the difference? So I would encourage all of our listeners to at least consider that step. If you have to choose between a full-on website or, the domain, I would say go domain and then landing page versus not doing any of it. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yep. Yeah, I think having the email address is definitely helpful because, like you mentioned, if you were to send out like a campaign, like an email blast, it is less likely to go to people's spam if it's from a business versus a Gmail account. Stuff like that. There's definitely pros to it. I just think that there's a lot of pros to just working with landing pages. That it may or may not worth it, or may not be worth it.
Well, you can do both. I don't know if you realize that. Yeah. So,
yes.
And very easily, you can buy a domain and have that redirected to your landing page. So you don't actually have to do a full-on website in order to be able to purchase the domain, just so you know.
Right. And I have a buddy who's a photographer. He actually does all of my photography, and he waited to buy his domain because he has his own website. And someone like that, that type of business, I think that having a website is probably a good idea because it has a portfolio on it, stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And he wanted to buy a different domain because his name is long, so shameless plug, John Fleischman Media. That's who it is. So his website is johnfleischman.com, which Fleischman,
it's hard to spell.
Can you spell it? Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a difficult name to spell. So he was like, I want to buy jfm.com. Just keep it super simple, right? But he waited, and when he went to go buy it, he saw that someone else had it. So he emailed them, said, hey, can I buy this from you? And they were like, yeah, you can have it for like $8,000. And he was like,
thanks, but no thanks.
How about like 500? And they were like, no. So that's where buying a domain can get expensive, is if it's already taken.
Right. And also why you don't want to wait. If you know what you want, spend the $12 or the $100 or whatever it is, if it's something that you want right now, because it could get quite pricey later on.
Yeah. So, but I will say I'm not anti-website. I've just, for my own personal experience, and I think that a lot of coaches fall in this bucket too. I just don't think it's absolutely necessary. I
agree.
So that's just my thought. But for those who are listening and maybe are listening to this and they're thinking in their head, these guys keep talking about this landing page thing. I have no idea what that is. What is a landing page? We're going to explain what it is and how it can work for you. So, Maria, what's a landing page?
You know better than to ask me the technical questions on this podcast.
I know, but I want to see how you do.
Okay, so the dumbed down version of what a landing page is, mostly because that's how I am with this stuff, is basically a place that you can go and you put you can have like an email capture on there. So I look at it almost like as a sequence. So you have a landing page where you put the spot to grab somebody's email, and you can put some copy on there as well. So it kind of looks like a website. And then it can lead to another place where they, receive stuff. It can turn into a sequence. So in a nutshell, landing page means that they landed on your page. That's kind of where they got the name. I'm guessing. I don't really know. You totally put me on the spot with that. But that's how I see it. And I know, like, I have one, I have several. I have bought a couple domains that point to different landing pages. So like my scheduling link is chatwithmc.com. And so when someone goes there, they can go and, schedule a session with me, just a consultation with me. And there's some copy and stuff on there. But if I told you that I created all of that, I'd be absolutely lying to you. I've gone in there and done like the actual copy and stuff, but I don't know all the back end inner workings on how it all works. Like, so, I've done different CRMs and stuff and then just stuck with the one that I really liked. I can tell you that I think there was a time when maybe it was MailerLite. I don't know. I don't have any notes in front of me, but I think maybe MailerLite was the one that had free landing pages. Does that sound right? Have you ever used that?
I've never used MailerLite.
Well, there are some CRMs that are free to use and include free landing pages. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I know MailerLite is a CRM that I've used in the past. That might be the one that has the free landing pages. I'm not positive. But thanks for letting me butcher that publicly. I appreciate that. No, you tell them what it really is, Cody.
I'll put some input in as well. So Maria pretty much had it spot on, but essentially what it is it's just a page that someone would land on. So, typically they are run through a CRM. So there's a lot of different CRMs out there, but the one that I personally use is one called ActiveCampaign. So, like I'm pulling up my consultation landing page right now. And, the actual like web address is sizemorecoaching.ac-page.com, which is sizemorecoaching.activecampaignpage.com and then /consultation, right? So it's not like a, sizemorecoaching.com/consultation. There's a little bit of extra in there. So it's not like
you got to name that. Like I say, you got to name that. Like they have the .ac.com in there, but you got to decide what the name of that was.
What the actual name is after the /. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, it's not super personalized, but it's personalized enough that like people get the idea. But essentially, this page is a website. At the end of the day, it really just is. Because, it has like everything that my website would have if I had a website. It has like my intro, it has like a bio, it has testimonials, it has a place for a person to schedule a call with me, which, it has integration with like my Calendly, stuff like that. I have sales funnels through there. If I'm doing like a online event or something like that, they can fill out forms where they can put their name and email in. All that kind of stuff. So essentially a landing page is basically a website without actually having a website. It's just ran through your CRM, which you're paying for anyways. So it's essentially a free website just for this fact that they have their little thing that says ac-page.com in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. And that's essentially what a landing page is. Now, I know that there's a lot of CRMs out there that have templates for landing pages, which you can totally use. It sounds like that's what Maria did. She saw a template that she liked. She updated the copy on it, which copy means text on the page to fit what she wanted it to say. And then she clicks save and boom, there you're done. I personally build my own. I don't know. I just think that I have a certain vision for things, and a lot of the templates don't capture that very well. So it does take more time,
I've done
but
both.
it's not like a lot of time. You know,
I've done both ways. I've used templates, and then I've also created my own. And like you said, it takes a lot of time. So for me, it was a decision of, is this particular landing page one that is going to give me a return on my time? Or not. And if it's not, then I have no problem using a template. If it's something that I really want to look like me, then I make sure that I build that myself.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So that's essentially what a landing page is. And like Maria said, she said that she had several, but I also have several too. So I have one for a consultation. I have one for, my online events. I have one for certain lead magnets, stuff like that. So, it's essentially a website, and you can do something too, where if they click a certain thing, then they're redirected to a new page, which is just another landing page, which is exactly how a website works. If you click, you're on the front page of the website and you click, book a call. Well, you can put something in where they say, when someone presses this button, they'll be redirected to this new page. It's the exact same thing. So it's essentially a website without having one, in my opinion.
And I'm going to throw this in there because I think we just established before we hit record today that we are about 15 years difference in age. I'll let you guys decide which one of us is older. Hint, it's totally me. But I think before you started, Cody, like there was a time when landing pages weren't as simplified as they are now. And the only way to actually have them was to kind of build your own web page, like your own website with all of the different landing pages and to build that out. And so somebody who is maybe a little bit older or they're just not quite as aware of what's out there, I think that's where that whole misconception of you need a website comes from. Because just 7 years ago, you totally did need a website. And now that everything is kind of just snowballed technology-wise, we are in a spot where you don't really need that anymore. And you can do all the things that Cody mentioned with a landing page. So if you came into this thinking, oh, I absolutely need to have one, it's totally not on you. It's just technology. We're having a hard time keeping up with how fast technology is moving. And so this is just something that's out there that is super helpful. It automates things for us. It just streamlines the process. That's how I look at landing pages. It's just a streamlined website that just didn't exist all those years ago, at least not in a way that we could do it ourselves, even if you're not super tech savvy. So that is something that I'm very grateful for. I'm really glad that it's out there because, like I said, I don't want to have to spin my wheels and have to figure out how to build this entire website on WordPress because, man, it's a whole new language if you're not used to that. And a lot of people in the coaching field are creatively minded. So they're like, I really don't want to do all that logical stuff on that side. So it is something that I think is a fantastic development since even I started doing coaching. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case anyone's feeling like, well, why would they have said we needed that if we don't? And I think it's just because we used to need it.
Yeah. And something else I want to say too is that the topic of landing pages, I didn't even have any landing pages for the first year of my coaching practice. So just for context, the first year that I had my coaching practice, I didn't have any landing pages and I didn't have a website. And I was still able to get it off the ground, grow it into something to where I could eventually go full time. Because that's around the time that I actually got landing pages when I took that step into going full time. And that's when I knew I was like, I need to really step this up if I really want to make this work. So before then, I just used social media. I just used Facebook and Instagram. That's pretty much it. And you can do a lot with Facebook and Instagram. I mean, you can set up like buttons that say like book a call. You can like do all those different types of things, and people get a lot of information just from a Facebook page, your Instagram account, all that kind of stuff. So, even if you're first starting out and you're like kind of overwhelmed with all this information, don't feel like this is something that you have to do right away. This is something that you can grow into, because that's how I started, was just starting with social media, and it worked just fine. And people are okay with that. Like some people will say like, hey, do you have a website? And you'll just say, not right now. But I do have my Facebook page. It has all the information that you need. Here it is. Let me know if you have any questions. And most people don't care.
Yeah, that's a really good, very, very good point. It's a great place to start. I do want to point out, though, that you said it was when you were ready to scale. You didn't use that word, but I'm throwing it in there. That's when you went ahead and started doing these landing pages. So if somebody is like, you know what, I have the capability, I have the time to put into it, and I'm able to do this right now, that would be a really good place to start so that they can start with that scaling, if you will. They have somewhere that they can build and snowball. They don't have to wait a full year in order to get that started. However, if you don't have the capability of doing that yet, then absolutely what Cody said is fantastic. Use the resources that are available to you and use them consistently, and then just layer on the next thing as you are ready to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for all of that insight that you gave, all of the embarrassment you threw at me right there. No, I tease. I actually think it's really good when we are asked questions that we don't really know the answers to, because it lets everybody know that you don't have to know all the answers in order to go out and do something. That's super important. So I appreciate you doing that. Anything else you want to add before we close up today?
I think the only thing that I want to add is that, listening to this episode of this show, it's a lot of information.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to get paralyzed by that. Don't let it paralyze you. If this is something that you feel like is the right time to step into, setting up a website or setting up landing pages, whatever, then go for it. But if this is not the right time and this is something that you are just learning for the future and you want to roll with, your Facebook, your Instagram, your social media pages for now, then just roll with it. There's no need to feel that paralyzation from all the information. So as long as you're being consistent and you're moving forward and you're holding yourself accountable, that's what matters at the end of the day. No website, no landing page is going to match that kind of output other than yourself. So that's the only thing I want to say.
I appreciate you adding that. You guys, thanks so much for tuning in this week. We will see you next week on the Financial Coaches Podcast. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Coaches Podcast, brought to you by New Money Habits and Sizemore Financial Coaching. Submit your questions to our hosts by emailing podcast@newmoneyhabits.com. Be sure to subscribe to be notified of future episodes and join our growing group of like-minded coaches on Facebook. And until next time, happy coaching. Music provided by Summer School.